The latest edition of White Dwarf offers us a brand new way to play Warcry, combining it with Warhammer Quest Cursed City. In this video I will be flicking through the magazine, having a look at those new rules and also checking out brand new narrative content for the Soulblight Gravelords. Let's have a look. Right, so this is White Dwarf 489 from June 2023. So I'm going to be focusing on just the Warcry content, and I'm going to start with these new rules. So as part of the ongoing Flashpoint Rondel and the Great Stomp, we have a brand new battle plan. Now this battle plan utilises elements of Warhammer Quest Cursed City, specifically the board tiles, entrance and exits, creating a really interesting area for you to fight over. Now they do also give you an option to use the alternative terrain rules set up from page 61 on the core rules, and provide you with deployment spaces here should you wish to do this using something already in your collection if you don't own Warhammer Quest. Equally, you could adapt this for a Catacombs board if you have that from the first edition of Warcry, or you could just lay down some paper or some tiles on your gaming table. Now, in essence, this is an objective-based game, so we've got pylons at points A, B and C. The attackers are going to try and destroy them, the defenders are trying to stop them destroying them. Additionally, if you're using the map tiles, you have specific deployment points for the attackers and defenders. The attacker gains an additional action called Shatter Pylon. Not good if you're a pylon. If you're 1 inch of a pylon, you can use this action and on a 2+ allocate that many damage points to a pylon token. Pylon tokens cannot be allocated damage points by any other means. Once it's allocated 12 or more damage points, it's removed from the battlefield. The battle lasts for 4 rounds, by the way, and there's actually no victory condition here for just using this as a Warcry game. Essentially what happens is once the battle ends, you count up the number of these pylons that have been destroyed, and they determine some special rules that are going to impact the next game of Age of Sigmar if you're following this narrative campaign. So there are some additional rules down here as well, which I'm going to touch upon first, and I'll tell you how me and my friend who are playing a Warcry narrative campaign tackled this and wove it into our Warcry games. So the first of the new rules is the twist tunnel fighting. So fighters cannot fly and fighters with mounts cannot even play in this battle plan. And entertainingly, you can push people about or you can smack them into walls if you can't push them about. So after a melee attack action that scored 1 or more hits or critical hits on the target, the player controlling the attacker can make the target make a bonus move action of 3 inches. So it's a little bit like pushing in Warhammer Underworlds if you're familiar. When doing so, the target can move away from the enemy fighters within 1 inch at the start of the move action, and they must move 3 inches if possible. After this move action is made, if the target moved less than 3 inches, or is within 1 inch of an enemy fighter, allocate 3 damage. So it's pretty handy if you can hem people in, but it's also a good way to stop people hemming you in or trapping you in a corner. Additionally, the other twist is secret doors. Fighters within 1 inch of an entrance, which look like this if you're playing Warhammer Quest, can make the additional action, which is enter hidden paths. Remove this fighter from the battlefield, pick an exit, which looks like this, and on a 2+ place this fighter as near as possible to that exit. So when we were playing, we had many instances where these exits were pretty well blocked, but the rules are put them as close as possible. And I should have mentioned, if you roll a 1, you get randomly assigned to another doorway. And just for ease, when we were playing, there are 6 exits, so just did them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from left to right. And if they roll the same one, they just go to the next one up. Worked a treat. And that is it. This is the new way to play using the Warhammer Quest tiles. So fortunately for me, when this magazine plopped through my door, I was actually due to be playing Warcry that evening, in what me and my friend creatively refer to as Warcry night. So we got to play the game straight away, which was really good fun. It was my horde of 13 goblins. We're playing a narrative campaign, and those 13 goblins are against 6 Stormcast, or rather 5 Stormcast and a Gryph-hound. So it was an interestingly awkward pairing for this mission. Now, me with my goblins, I was on the attacking side of things. I was trying to destroy these pylons, and my opponent, who we'll call James, because his name is James, was trying to defend them. So straight away, dumped a load of goblins down here, and they ran, starting from this point, they were able to destroy this pylon pretty damn quickly because I rolled a couple of 5s or 6, and I've got lots of models, and there's nothing in here to change this roll based on how strong you are as a fighter. However, the other 2 were hotly contested throughout the game and managed to destroy the one in the middle in the end and nearly got this one down. There was 1 point left. It was good fun. Now, as I said earlier, there wasn't actually a victory condition for this game if you were playing it as a game of Warcry. So you could say if you destroy all 3, the attackers won. Probably 2 out of 3 is reasonable. There's also a battle report in here, which I'll skim over, but I won't actually show you the ending just in case you pick up this magazine. So I'd say it's reasonable to say 2 destroyed is a win for the attacker, 2 or more survivings, a win for the defender. However, as we didn't quite know how that was going to play out for our game and we're playing a narrative campaign, we just actually made the pylons worth a wild dice. So if I destroyed them, I got a wild dice in the next game for each pylon, and similarly my opponent got that for defending them. And we did say if somebody managed to either defend all 3 or destroy all 3, they got a bunch of glory points. So that is that. They just give us this one map. You can certainly use these rules down here to sort of make up your own games, shuffle, randomly throw a load of tiles on the board and make up another game. And I'd certainly be interested to see a more evolved version of this turn up in something like a Tome of Champions, if they're ever going to release one of those again. It doesn't appear on the next roadmap. So skipping on to the actual battle in this book, you can read a battle report, see how they got on. Quite different results to my experience, but you do get to see, interesting enough, some Stormcast versus some chunky greenskins. So, you know, not dissimilar, not a horde of goblins. As I say, because there's nothing to influence the roll based around the strength of the person that's attacking the pylons, having loads and loads of goblins just go up and poke it with their little sticky fingers is quite a good tactic. It worked quite well. I could just throw bodies at it, and whilst he was busy punching them apart, the whole warband died, by the way. My whole warband died by the end of well, by about the second activation in round 3, but they'd already taken out 2 pylons and nearly destroyed the third. So, you know, wave of bodies against them worked quite well.
I sent wave after wave of my own men at them until they reached their limit and shut down. Kif, show them the medal I won.
Anyway, so here you will get a battle report. I'm not going to talk through that just in case somebody doesn't want to read it, so no spoilers. And now I'm going to go over to the narrative content for the Soulblight Gravelords. So as we've come to expect from these articles in White Dwarf, we're getting a little bit of background as to what the Soulblight are doing in the Narwood in the first place. We're told how the Soulblight vampires are compelled to help bring about Nagash's ideal world of absolute death, whether they wish to or not. Following the destruction of Nagash's physical form at the climax of the Soul Wars, the vampiric nobility have seized the opportunity to strike out on their own accord. They are subjugating more mortals than ever before, and each knows that should Nagash return and realise his goal, there will be no living beings left to feed upon, leaving them to face a dark future indeed. There are many reasons that these vampires and necromancers will strike out towards the Narwood. Be it indulging their hunter's instincts, salivating over tree hides containing half-digested flesh and blood, and for the more discerning of their meals, the mortal adventurers who roam the Narwood in search of treasures. Many seeking powers will have heard of the legends of Talaxis, speaking of arcane technologies, marvels and chambers piled high with treasures of an age long gone. Additionally, some vampires and even some necromancers seek to claim the Narwood more permanently, given their possessive natures driving them to assert dominance over such a valuable asset. Evidence of rival vampires are apparent from the amount of ruined and abandoned keeps, as well as strange corpses bearing the symbols of the ancient Eskurgan order. So there we go, plenty of reasons for your Soulblight Gravelords to be venturing towards the Narwood. So ignoring this part, this is a card cut out for Kill Team. We're first met with quests, the first of which will be familiar to anybody partaking in a narrative Warcry game, and it gives you the opportunity to work towards gaining an artifact of power specific to your faction. These Baroque relics include the Totem of Rattling Bones, a skull-topped totem which can be used once per battle as a bonus action, removing 6 damage from each friendly fighter within 6 inches of this fighter, or the Boots of Tortured Earth, which cause the very earth around the bearer to scream in pain and agony, and add 1 to the move characteristic of the bearer. Each time they finish a move action, visible fighters within 1 inch suffer impact damage. They're proper kicky boots. And on the other side of this cardboard cutout, we have the Rulers of Death, a Soulblight Gravelord quest to gain a heroic trait. These include the beautiful skin-like marble, where you can subtract 1 from damage points allocated to each hit and critical hit from an attack, and the Font of Power, which adds 1 to the attack's characteristic of melee attack actions made by friendly fighters with the minion rune mark that are within 3 inches. Finally, we end on an encampment-based quest. You can earn the right to hang about in the Grand Edifice of Death. And if you succeed in this quest, you'll be able to add 1 to your renown rolls. You make for fighters with the hero rune mark. So renown, once you get it, lets you do a free reaction in the narrative games. And when adding fighters to your roster, subtract 1 from the glory cost to a minimum of 1, which will be useful if you're replenishing lots and lots of skeletons and zombies and that kind of thing. So as a point of reference, my 55-point goblins cost me 2 glory to replace each time, because anything over 51 points just pips over the 1 glory mark. Finally, we are ending on some background tables, so you can roll up a first name or last name. You've even got some von Carsteins in there, or von Carstein. I say it both ways. The origin of your warband. So let's say, bound by blood, your warband are servants of a powerful higher authority due to an ancient blood debt. How annoying. And your leader background, weakness in flesh. This warrior prefers to raise skeletons over zombies, being disgusted by rotting flesh and skin. Ugh. So there we go, there we have it for this White Dwarf. So thank you for watching. If you'd like to see my review of the last big box we were getting for Warcry until at least 2024, you can check out my video there. And thanks for watching. Cheers.